Hello everyone, welcome to another Canonical Community Q&A. If you're not familiar with this, we do every week, members of the Ubuntu Community Team will do a live broadcast where we will give you an update on what we've been working on and also take any questions that you might have and answer them live on the air. We are on ubuntuonair.com. If you're not watching this there, you should go to that page because we have an embedded chat widget just below the video, and that's where you would ask your questions. You can ask them anytime, just type them right into the chat. Use the word question in all capital letters, and David and myself will get a nice highlight on that so that we don't miss it. You can ask at any time, and we'll take breaks as we go to answer them. Today with me, first of all, I'm Michael Hall. I'm a member of the Canonical Community Team. With me, we've got David Planella, who was just announced to take over John O'Bacon's position as the manager of the community team. And as a special guest today, we've got Giorgio from the design team, who's going to give us some updates on what they've been working on and what you can expect to come in the near future onto the Ubuntu phones.
Yep.
So once again,
everybody.
ask questions anytime on IRC. We'll go ahead and start. I think David's got an announcement about his new position.
All right. But Giorgio, you were saying something. We cut you off.
And I was just said hi.
All right. Okay. Yeah, there's some delays sometimes, and it happens to us as well. So yeah, thanks for joining, Giorgio. It's really appreciated. I think people really like knowing more about design and the rationales behind some of the decisions on the phone. So yeah, as Mike was saying, one of the announcements that was made today, if you've been following Rick Spencer, the VP of Ubuntu Engineering, he's posted a blog post today explaining some of the changes that have happened in the structure of the community team. The changes, as I say, are mostly structural, as the team will be operating in the same way it had been doing so far. So, in a nutshell, it's business as usual. We've got the same roles and responsibilities. But one thing that has changed is mostly organizational. Ever since John O'Bacon, our previous community manager, left, we've been operating without manager. But we all decided that it would be good to have a manager to make sure that the team to keep the direction of the team and essentially to report as a line manager to Rick, who has always been the director or essentially the person who the community manager has been reporting to. So Rick just announced that I'll be the new community team manager. But most importantly, I think the thing to stress here is that everyone in the community team is effectively a community manager, and eventually the job titles of everyone have been updated to reflect this. So everyone in the team is now a community manager. The team structure is exactly the same, simply that I'll be working as the community manager, managing the team and reporting as a line manager. So as usual, if you've got any questions, if you need any help within the community, you can reach to anyone of us in the team. Just to recap, I'm David Planella. We've got Michael Hall on the call today. We've also got Nicholas Skaggs. We've got Daniel Holbach, and Alan Pope has also been joining us in the last few months. So yeah, that's essentially it. And if you've got any questions about this, then feel free to ask them on the channel as well, and we'll be more than happy to answer them. And
I have a question actually about the community team. ABC123 is asking if George Castro has left. And yeah, actually George left before Jono did. He moved over into CDO to focus specifically on the cloud and server side of things. So while he is still working on community stuff and effectively doing what he was doing before, he's just reporting to an engineering manager on the cloud side of things instead of to Jono or David now. Yeah. But we have grabbed, I think David just mentioned Alan Pope, who's not officially on the community team, but has been working with us very closely, especially around core apps and stuff. And if you're interested in that, we're going to have him on tomorrow. Every other Wednesday, we do an engineering team update where we get members from all across Ubuntu engineering to give an update on progress of what they've been doing. And that is tomorrow at 1400 UTC, I believe. It'll be same place here on ubuntuonair.com.
Cool. The other question we've got is someone is asking about what kind of wine bottle I've got as my light in my room. It's actually not a wine bottle. It's a soda bottle. Yeah. Yeah, I like unusual lamps.
All right. So if there's any other questions on community team stuff, go ahead and ask away. In the meantime, we'll move over to Giorgio to talk about what he's been working on. Giorgio, can you give us all a little bit about yourself and what you've been working on in the design team?
Yes, I joined the design team about 7 months ago, and I'm really happy. And it's a small but very interesting community of designers, and we have been working hard to create like a signature experience for the operating system that will make Ubuntu stand out from everything else. And we have been working on a number of apps and on the platform. I'm sitting in the apps team, so there's two teams. One is focusing on the apps, on the core apps, and the other is focusing on the platform, such as indicators, notifications, Dash, and so on. Personally, I've been before joining Canonical, I've been working in London for about 8 years, working for. I work for interesting. I work in the past for Migo as well, so I got a kind of background in open source initiatives, and I absolutely loved the idea of crafting an operating system from scratch. And I was working with the Intel guys, not with the Nokia guys. So I joined Canonical 7 months ago, and I've been contributing to the team. I've been leading the browser work stream, and I've been recently working on the clock as well. So just to give you a little bit of an overview what I've been doing, and my interest is really interaction design and usability, human-computer interaction. So when I can, I try to contribute to my other community, which is the interaction design community.
All right. If anyone has any questions for Giorgio, you can ask them at any time. But I've asked if he can give us, share with us a little bit some of the designs he's been working on specifically around the browser. Giorgio, do you have those that you can screen share?
Yeah. So in our team, I can screen share indeed. In our team, let's hope that it works first of all. In our team, we usually split the work between an interaction designer, a visual designer, a motion designer. So what you see is usually the output of quite a big stream of work. So we start from the foundations of the design, and then we move into kind of visual design. Then from there, we move into motion design. And it's really about looking at how the whole fits together. So I've got here a couple of examples. One is about the browser, and one is about the clock. So I'm going to quickly show you motion design from the browser. Can you see that on screen?
Yeah, we can see the screen.
Yep.
So you can see that first of all, there's a bottom edge gesture that is activated by swiping from the bottom edge, and that's the most important feature of apps on Ubuntu, is that they have a powerful edge that gives quick access to functionality of the app. And the idea is that we gave that functionality to app developers to create something great and to create something meaningful with it. In this case, the bottom edge is used to activate tab switching. So if you see that if you see the blue dots on screen is the finger, the position of the finger, and the more you swipe to the top, the more tabs you are visualized on the device. In this case, as you can see, I've got 4 tabs open. And then if I continue with my gesture, I will visualize as well the full history of the browser. So it's a way to combine in the same screen, with the same gesture, 2 different functionalities: tabs and history. I'll show you, and this is where you see the whole history of the browser. So we need to bear in mind that this is a summarized history. It's not a full history. It's not a chronological log like you see on Chrome or Safari. This is something new that no other browser has on the market, as far as I know. And it has basically shows you the most recently visited websites from today, yesterday, and so on. And you can scroll through the whole list. And something that this motion design doesn't show is that these websites are actually not repeated. So if you see only them, you see only once. If you tap on a single website, you will be able to see more details. And then you can use a quick scroll to go to a specific day. Then you can switch back to tabs view. From here, you can browse your open tabs. You can close them, open them. You can create a new tab. And when you finish your tabs, you go into your history. That's a kind of a way to illustrate what this video illustrates what the bottom edge can do, basically on the browser. And we're really proud of this, because I think it's something that makes us stand aside from other browsers on the market. I can now show you other things about the browser. I think I really like motion design because it can show you multiple things very quickly, and it gives you a good feeling of what the final user interface is going to look like. We need to bear in mind that the browser is still a work in progress, so our developers are still working on it, and we're trying as much as possible to get it ready for RTM, but we need to bear in mind it's still a work in progress. Let me see. This is how you open a new tab. So there are multiple ways of opening a new tab, but if you pull down from the current page, you will see a sort of indication at the top that you're opening a new tab, and when you release, you're going to open a new tab straight away. Interestingly, a new tab is not going to be empty. It's going to have the latest bookmarks and the most visited website straight away. So it's a good way to quickly start immediately a new navigation from here without having to go into a specific section. So we try to simplify and combine things that you find in browsers like Chrome or Safari into a kind of a different beast, a kind of a different animal. But we really like the output. Let's see whether community likes it too. I'm going to show you now. Is there any question about the browser from the community?
There was before you start the next demo, perhaps it might be worth answering one of the questions. It's not directly related to the browser, but Sid Payton was asking, Giorgio, will the weather app get a new UI like the new clock app, or will it refocus to integrate weather scopes rather than a dedicated app?
Sorry, could you repeat the question again?
Sure.
I didn't come clearly.
Sure. So will the weather app get a new UI like the clock app, or will it be refocused to integrate weather scopes rather than a dedicated app? Because I think the question is whether we'll continue developing further the weather app design, or whether we'll be focusing more on the weather scope.
Okay, we have a weather app in progress here. It's still very early stage. We're still like sketching some new concepts. So we're kind of rebooting the weather app completely. There is another team working on the scopes, and at the moment the two things are kind of proceeding in parallel. But at some point they will definitely kind of merge. They will not merge, but they will be more integrated. If you see what I mean. Does that answer the question?
I'm guessing so. It answers it to me. We'll see what Sid has to say. But I mean, just continuing the question. That's a question from myself. And perhaps it's early stages, but which kind of integration are you seeing coming between apps and scopes? I know that we're positioning scopes as the way for operators to differentiate and to be able to modify the UI. So scopes are something that's very, very visible on Ubuntu, but yeah, we've got quite a lot of these cases still, and music app and music scope and weather app and weather scope are some examples where we've got an app and scope in parallel. Where do you see this evolving?
More integrated in the future. That's what we would like it more to be. So it's still early to say that, but basically a scope is a view on content. And this, some of this content might come from the web. Some of this content might come from specific entities from the web, and some content might come from your apps. It completely makes sense for apps to be more integrated with the scopes. It's because at the moment we are kind of going 200 miles per hour in the design team, so we are proceeding in a parallel fashion, and sometimes it will take a few more design cycles to get everything right. But that's kind of the nature of design and development. It's almost like a never-ending process where you try to improve and build on what you have done in the past.
Cool. All right. I think we've got another question, and I think it's related to the browser now. D. Scheimer is asking, is the goal to have this browser become the default in the conversion experience, or will a desktop user probably still fall back to something like Firefox?
It's a very good question, and the answer is that we're going to have our browser on the desktop as well. So we are going to have a Ubuntu browser on the desktop, on the phone, and on the tablet.
In fact, we already do. I think starting in Trusty, we shipped the Ubuntu browser for web app integration.
Yep.
So as far as what's going to be the default browser on the desktop, just about every UDS we have a session concerning this. So when that decision gets made, it'll get made at UDS, and there will be a lot of technical discussion around that to make sure that whatever we replace the current default with meets the needs of our users.
Yeah.
A lot of the discussion is going to be around, what's going to run in a converged environment. If Firefox is not going to run under Unity 8 and Mir, then we're going to need to find an alternative to that. On the other hand, if it gets ported to Unity 8 and Mir, then we can continue using that as the default.
Yeah, for us the browser is super important. Do you mind if I mute you, Michael, quickly? I get some feedback. Okay. So for us, the browser is super important because it's like the foundation of lots of user experiences. So all the HTML5 apps are based on the browser. It's it's the rendering engine. And if you think about it, the debate between HTML5 versus apps versus web, clearly the web has some advantages over native apps, and in order to use these apps and these websites at the best, you need a good browser. And we're really proud of spending this effort on the browser, because we think that the web is it's open, it's an open environment, and it's important to be able to access to it in the best way as possible.
Excellent. All right, so it seems that for now we don't have any more questions on browser and design. Giorgio, I think you had a couple more demos you wanted to share, or is there anything else that you wanted to add? Cool.
Yeah, sure. Another thing we did with the browser is we focused on organizing all the information of the browser around the idea of recency. I found it so funny that when you use Chrome or Firefox, Safari, whatever, you see all your bookmarks and all the information, especially the bookmarks. I found them funny because you see the ones you added first, and then in order to see the latest, you need to go into some obscure menu. What we do is the other way around. We show first the latest bookmarks, and then if you want, you then can dig through to the oldest ones, because most of the times the bookmarks are useful for a limited amount of time, after which they tend to lose relevance. So it's something that we focused on in this and other use cases. We try to do absolutely all around the idea of recency. Let me see if I can share a specific window rather than the whole. Can you? Probably I'm trying to share a specific window. That's actually much better. And this is the new design for clock. Now you can already actually Nick and other community guys have been designing this app and at a lightning speed. So you can find a prototype of this app already on the store. And it doesn't have all the functionality, but it has already a good idea of what it's going to look like. So basically, the idea is that in a similar way as the browser, if you pull down, you will be able to add a new city to your clocks. And if you can see how basically there is an analog. This is a way to see basically this feature is not implemented yet, but you're going to be able to use your phone as a standing clock as well on next to your bed.
Yeah, this looks awesome.
And then you actually, if you see the first part of the animation, this is the boot of the app. If you tap on the face of the clock, you're gonna be able to switch from analog to digital. I don't know if you can see, but you switch all of them at the same time. As if you look at the ones at the bottom as well, they kind of switch to the digital as well. And I think what we're focusing on is simplicity. So one thing we did is removing stopwatch and timer. So it's either we're going to use them as a separate app, or we're going to integrate them later on. So rather than cluttering the app with too many features, we try to focus on simplicity and elegance. So just provide more clarity. I think this is a big improvement over the previous version of the clock. I'd be curious to hear what the community thinks about it, but since it's still early stage, let's wait to see what when it's finished, actually the implementation as well.
It is available in the store already, though. If you look for clock reboot,
yeah,
you can track the current progress of things as it comes in.
Yeah, and this has been the result as well with the collaboration between the design team, in particular Giorgio, and the community of Coram developers. In particular, Nicholas Ramanathan has been the driving force behind the implementation of the well, not only the clock reboot, but also from the original clock as well. And as Giorgio was saying, yeah, sorry.
Absolutely,
yeah,
we're really happy working with these guys here. They're making our day better.
Excellent. Yeah, and And yeah, I mean, and also the fact that the necklace has been not only responsive but developing this as an astonishing pace. That's been pretty cool. So yeah, we'll continue.
Just to reiterate, all of the core apps are being written by people in the community. So if anybody's interested in contributing to any of those, it's completely open to people outside of Canonical to join and participate in. We've had some really great developers come on board with no prior experience in QML development and have really just taken it and grown with it and helped us improve the platform while making these first-class apps for us. So if you're interested in that, join hash Ubuntu-app-devel. Normally you can ping Popey, but he's on holiday, so you can ping myself or David on there, and we'll get you set up.
Cool. And Nicholas is just mentioning that on IRC that he's just finished an initial prototype of the wall clocks, so expect that to be available in the store in 2 or 3 days, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Let me show you another video. So I got more videos.
Excellent.
I'm tempted to share the whole desktop. It's a bit easier. I'm sorry if you guys see yourself like in the magic mirror, but that's how it works. So this is another video that shows more screens of the new clock app. This is the alarms. So from here you can switch on and off alarms. You can create new alarms using the spinner. We've got a new spinner now that can actually be in line. It doesn't because the default spinner is actually replacing the keyboard. But if you want, you can use the spinner to embed it into a layout. It's quite handy. But make sure you never display on-screen keyboard and spinner at the same time, or you won't see any more UI.
George, a quick question on the spinner then, because I'm used to using the old version. Is this going to be replaced anytime soon? I mean, we see it in clock, but I haven't seen it being used in the SDK. So just to recap, is this the final version of the spinner that we will see as an SDK component for people to use?
It is kind of a reskin of the existing one. It's kind of simplified, more streamlined, more contemporary, and easier to use eventually. So I think it's already implemented by the SDK team, and if it's not, it's a matter of days. So in the branch, it's already there, and I've seen it. So I think if there is an app on the store where you can see the whole gallery, the whole kind of components gallery, and I think the spinner should be there. There's a nice as well. You can see the header, the new header. The new header is super important. I mean, I don't know if you already had somebody speaking about it in the past, but the new header really helps people understanding where they are, where they can go, what's the most important actions on screen. We found out with a few from community feedback, from usability testing feedback, that the toolbar was not good enough for ensuring people were able to navigate applications.
Yeah.
I know we had somebody talking about the new header back in the Ubuntu Online Summit, but I don't think we've had anybody on this Q&A talking about it yet. So maybe we can find somebody to go over that. Maybe someone from the SDK team can show it off.
Yeah, team has been working on it, and yeah, it's something we refine, and we are actually right now there is a sprint in London, and we are refining all these components. So there's a few tweaks we are still making, but if you see the latest branch, you should be able to see the latest components, the latest SDK components.
Cool. We've got a question on IRC regarding the Shortsup, the RSS reader. So Sid Payton is asking, what about the Shortsup RSS reader? Will it be getting the new theme as well? And in addition to that, he's saying, I love all the new interfaces, really well done. They're really fun to use.
Thanks. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. We think the same.
Yeah. So, has there been any work on the Shorts app? Any redesigns? I know that you guys prioritize the app, so I'm not sure if you've even come to that or talk about the Shorts app.
It's not at the top of our priorities, but if somebody in the community wants to pick it up and contribute to it, it would be lovely. Because news readers and content readers are something that really lots of people use, and eventually it's definitely. Well, another thing we need is developers, of course, and designers as well. So if somebody in the design community wants to contribute to this, would be awesome. And we just at the moment we need to attract, I think, more designers to our community as well. That's another thing that we have in mind to improve in the future.
Yeah, we are always on the lookout for more designers in the community. I think that's one thing a lot of people don't realize is that we are open to community design. It's not just all from Canonical. So if we can get people in the community submitting designs, we can work on improving our apps based on those, and we have for some of them. For I know the email app has been getting community designs exclusively.
Yep.
And the developers have been working on those. So if anyone's got any artistic or design talent and wants to contribute that way, please do so. Please get in touch with us, and we'll help you get set up and get in contact with the developers so that you can propose your designs to them.
Yeah, we are always on the line, an IRC, or we can have a hangout. If there is anything that people want to go through, it's actually quite easy and pleasant.
Where is your IRC channel that you use?
We use Currently Design, but I think it might be currently actually only a Canonical channel. So we might want to use for the moment Ubuntu Touch, maybe. Is there any other channel that we could use?
There's the Design channel, if you're in there.
Mike, I think you're muted for a while.
Oh, sorry. That's probably typing. So yeah, there's Ubuntu Design, and I know like John Lee's in there. I can see right now, and some others. And that's on Freenode IRC.
Let me just join the channel. Another good one specifically for app development. Another good one to join is the one that Mike was already mentioning earlier on. #ubuntu-app-devel. We've got quite a lot of app developers who are hanging out in there, and it's great to grab their feedback or for them to grab a designer to get some input.
So the channel is Ubuntu-Design on Freenode?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Excellent. All right.
So Sid Payton says that it would be great to have a site where people can see what you're working on, and you do have such a site, don't you?
We have a blog, so I can straight away send a link to it. And we try to update it as much as we can with the current latest and greatest design stuff. It's a design blog. Don't know if you... I'll share a link straight away. we also are planning to update the design guides for app developers.
You have to share the link on on our channel.
Yeah, if you guys have the link, because my computer is kind of slowing down.
No worries. Yeah, the one for the blog I've just shared it on the channel. That's design.canonical.com,
Oh, yeah.
and that will take you already to the blog.
Yeah.
And then the design guides are. Let me remind myself.
They're design.ubuntu.com, I believe.
Yeah, exactly, but /apps. Yeah, so design.ubuntu.com/apps. There's where the design guides live.
Yes, yes, indeed. So our plan is to update that in the next couple of months, because it's really important that we have a good kind of communication and good presentation of the components and the principles we have been designing with. And yeah, fingers crossed, we're gonna make it.
Cool. So we got another question from D. Scheimer, and that's again for Giorgio. So how big is the design team, and does it meet face-to-face more than other technical groups, or is the collaboration primarily done electronically?
So the design team is indeed based in London primarily, and we meet every day. So we have an office and design studio. So our collaboration is, we have some people working remote. Currently, one of our team members moved to Romania, and our motion designer moved to Romania. So we kind of have a bit of a remote working in progress. But in general, for design, it really helps being in the same place, because you have an idea, you put together a group of colleagues, you start sketching a few ideas on the whiteboard or on a piece of paper, and that's where collaboration is really fast. We still use a Hangout, screen sharing, and it works, but pen and paper sometimes is quicker. So it helps for the team to be in the same place.
Cool. And how big is the team roughly?
At the moment, we are like between apps and platform, we're about 15, but it's going to increase in the future. We are looking for front-end prototypers to join our team, and if anybody is keen on, I think they should apply for the jobs on Canonical. And we're looking for a couple of members, interaction designers for the team as well. So people maybe with between 5 and 3 years of experience to join the team as well. So the team is expanding, but you know, the work is always more. No matter how many people you get in, there's always more work to be done. So it's challenging, and you need to prioritize. And you need to focus on a few things, because if you try to do everything, it's not going to work. And we're open, of course, to community designers, and potentially that's a good way to know each other as well.
Excellent.
So I think being a designer at Canonical is a bit of a unique experience, especially with the community participation side of things. Has that been your experience?
Absolutely. I mean, last 12 years, I've never worked in such an open environment. So most of the times you work on projects that are top secret, I mean, or they are NDA, so covered, and it's really, it sucks because you can't get feedback straight away. You have much less feeling of participation from the community, whereas here we're very much open. We try to share our work as much as we can, and in the time we have, and we are open for more collaboration from the design community, open for feedback, open for criticism as well. The good criticism is always welcome, helps us improve. and so on. So it's really unique, a unique place to work, I believe, and the feeling is the same from the rest of the team.
All right.
All right. It looks like we've got a couple of questions in IRC. We've got about 15 minutes left, 20 minutes left. So if anyone's got any questions, start getting them in now. We have a delay between IRC and the video, so if you wait until the very last minute, there's a good chance we'll have already ended the video by the time it pops up for us. So don't wait, get them in now. Ubuntu fan asks if there's a current plan or ETA for when a tablet laptop convertible will be fully supported, such as the Lenovo Yoga.
I haven't got information. No.
The big thing for that is going to be having Unity 8 available on the desktop, because that's going to be the key thing that you need to converge cleanly between a tablet experience and a desktop experience. And that is currently being worked on. I think that's slated to land, I think, if I remember the Ubuntu Online Summit slides correctly, in 1504, and to be default by 1510. So that's the plan right now. You can run the, there's a separate CD image being created for Ubuntu Utopic that has the Unity 8 session. So you can try that out. It should work well in tablet mode. There aren't many desktop features in there yet, though. So that's the current plan. If you want more information, go back to summit.ubuntu.com and find those sessions. There's a lot of discussion about that back in, was it June? I think it was 1st of June.
All right. So next question. Boza is asking, will Ubuntu Touch have app permissions like Android? Where's that? Oh, sorry, I was just, yeah. That's essentially the question. Will Ubuntu Touch have app permissions like Android? I think, Mike, you're the most technical. You're the one most familiar with the technology. So I think I'll let you answer that one.
Sure. So one of the problems that Android has, and a lot of people have expressed this, is that when you install an app, you're given a wall of permissions, and your choices are either accept all of the permissions and install the app, or don't install the app at all. So that really kind of puts the user in a bind where they want the app, but maybe they don't want to give it specific access to some things. But they've only got this binary choice, yes or no. So the approach that we've taken is, instead of asking the user at install time to give blanket permissions to these apps, is when the app actually wants to use a resource or some data on the phone, it has to ask the user for it explicitly. So if you install a flashlight app, it's not going to pop up and say, this flashlight app needs access to your contacts. If you want to install it, you have to give it access to all of your contacts. Instead, what will happen is you install the app, it doesn't tell you anything about permissions, and then when the app wants to access your contacts, it has to use a trusted helper, such as the Content Hub, and it has to ask the system for a contact. And then the system will pop up something for you and say, hey, the flashlight app is asking for a contact, choose which ones to give it. So the user ends up with complete control over what the app can do and what it can't do, and even over what data it can get and what it can't. So again, instead of giving it blanket access to all of your contacts, it's going to ask you specifically which contacts to give it access to. And then those will be the only people that it knows about. It won't see any of your other contacts or be able to do anything with them. And we'll do the same thing for things like GPS data. We do the same thing for any kind of file access outside of the app's own files. So that's the approach we've taken. So far, it's been working very well. We haven't run into any problems or limitations with it. It's a much better user experience because you always know what your apps are accessing, and you don't have to worry about some of the problems that Android's been experiencing lately with apps doing malicious things with your data without you knowing about it. So I hope that answers your question.
Cool. Thanks, Mike. All right. Disheimer is asking, can you describe how you work with community input in... Sorry, let me just restart. Can you describe how you work community input into design? How is it shared, evaluated, and integrated? Maybe examples of some community design that actually showed up. Well, one of the examples that we've got, apart from the email client that Mike was mentioning, was reminders, the app that's powered by Evernote, and in that case we had collaboration between the Canonical Design team and the Community Design team that we started a while ago. The way that it worked was similar in the way where it works in the Canonical Design team, where the work was partitioned, in this case, between UX and visuals. One of the Canonical designers provided the UX interaction designs, and these were the developers took to create the skeleton of the app, essentially the scaffolding. But at some point, we had implemented everything that was needed for the UX, any wireframes, and we're looking at having an app that would be more visually appealing. So we reached out to the design community in Ubuntu, and I say we started this a while ago, and the community team the community design team is essentially a group of developers who get together and provide ideas for designs. In the case of reminders, it was a complete visual design created by a developer named Lucas Romero, a guy from Argentina, and the way, or rather the way that it worked in practical terms was that Lucas provided a document with the design proposal, and then the developers looked into it and looked at how things could be implemented. So there was back and forth discussion on things that needed more clarification on the spec, or things that the designers thought that should have been implemented differently. And then there was a review process after the app had been the visual design had been implemented into the app. All this was done remotely, so we've used IRC for weekly communication. We've used remote documents. I think we used the wiki and Google Docs for sharing the visual designs and address questions and answers for each one of the designs. And we tackled each one of the screens or each one of the visual designs bit by bit, so that every time we did an implementation, we went back to the spec and looked that it complied, not only that complied with the spec, but also that there was something that worked. So yeah, it's an iterative process in which you implement something, you test that it works, and then you release it essentially. So that's how it worked in that particular one. But I think there's still quite a lot that we can do to have more active participation of the community, and this is something that we'd like to look at in the upcoming months. And yeah, I hope that answers the question.
All right. Sid Payton asks, he says, web apps are getting notification integration. Facebook mails are showing up in the indicator. Will it be possible to integrate these new integrations by anyone, or does it have to be made by the website maintainer? So because of the app lifecycle that Ubuntu enforces, there's no ability for an app to run a listening service in the background to check for updates. So what we're doing is we're putting in place a push notification server where external services can tell one of Canonical's servers that there's an update for the user or a notification for the user. And then the Canonical server will aggregate all of those and push them down to the user's phone, so that there's just one service that has to respond to this instead of a separate service for every app that wants an update. This is similar to what Android does, and I think iOS has a similar push notification service. So if you own the remote service and you can program in something to send information to our push server, then you'll be able to integrate that with your app. For things like Facebook or Google Plus or Gmail, it's going to be up to them to integrate with that. In the short term, we're putting in place a temporary listener service that will check for those things, for common services that people want to use and expect to work properly with that kind of notification. So Facebook and Gmail, I know, are on the list of things to get that. I think Twitter might be also, but that might actually be using a proper push notification service. I'm not entirely clear on that. You can join Ubuntu Touch and ask in there. Someone who knows better than I can probably answer that. But the short answer is, yeah, if you own the app and you own the remote service, then you'll be able to use this API to send notifications to the user's phone. And documentation for that is coming together right now. I've seen some of the preliminary stuff, and I'm going to be working on getting that published on developer.ubuntu.com sometime in the next week or so, as soon as it's ready.
All right, so let's. We've got about 8 minutes left, so let's just go quickly through the questions that we've got left. G0M3Z is asking, can you recommend some tutorial sources for Ubuntu development? I'm using this OS for a while now, and I really like it. So I decided to try and write some simple apps. Do you have any programming language preference? A video tutorial would be fine for this purpose, I guess. So let me just take this one. I think the best place to go is developer.ubuntu.com. If you're looking specifically for apps tutorials, I recommend you just to click on the apps tab or apps header on the site, and you'll find all the documentation that you need. That includes tutorials and API documentation. One thing that you're mentioning is quite interesting as well for videos. We've got quite a lot of videos actually on app development, but right now they're not centralized in one account. But if you go to summit.ubuntu.com, you can have a look at past events such as the Ubuntu App Developer Week, where you'll find quite a lot of videos and tutorials on app development. In terms of a language that's preferred for Ubuntu app development, you can use QML, you can use C++, or you can use the usual HTML or web technologies such as HTML or JavaScript. We're saying that both are first-class citizens. The traditional distinction between native and HTML5. In our case, we don't make the difference just because they're different technologies, but they do have the same level of access to the platform. So between those two, there's no preference that we're recommending. If you want to develop an HTML5 app, you'll already know which technologies you'll be using. If you want to develop what's traditionally been named as a native app, I would recommend QML. QML is a scripted language that's used to define interfaces, and it's really, really easy to grasp, really, really intuitive, and it also makes it really, really easy to create animations and nice user interactions. So yeah, that's what I'd recommend.
All right, moving right along, Sid Payton again is asking, he says, scrolling on Ubuntu is still a bit laggy. Is this to change soon for RTM? So usually the problem with scrolling is dependent on the app itself and what it's trying to display on screen. Florian Bocalt had a really nice session in the last Ubuntu Online Summit about measuring performance and improving performance, and I think one of the things that he was showing was how having too many items in, say, a list view will slow things down quite a bit. So there's a lot of optimization work that can be done in the app itself to improve that. There's also been some optimization in upstream Qt to improve the QML scene graph and make that a little bit faster to draw. So that, I think, should be landed now. We've recently switched over to Qt 5.3, so there should be those improvements there. And then, of course, we've got the Unity shell and the mirror display server, which are always getting improvements, and I know performance is foremost in their mind, so they'll keep working on that also.
Okay. Tishheimer is asking, will design need to have more to say about default applications in the convergent experience once you need to consider all of the three primary form factors, phone, tablet, and desktop? By that, I mean design seems so much more important as convergence progresses. Will there be more times where design overrides technical factors? I think I'll let Giorgio to comment on that, but I'd like to add something before. I think design is a key stakeholder, and rather than having design overriding technical factors, it's always a balance, and there's always this a discussion between the design side and the technical side. So yeah, that's how I see it.
Absolutely, it's always about collaboration process, and design is. Let's have a metaphor. If you build a house, you need to first of all understand what kind of materials you can use to build a house, what kind of bricks, what kind of wood, what kind of and only when you appreciate the properties of the materials, you're able to design something. Otherwise, you're designing an idea, an abstraction. You're not designing a product that gets into the hands of millions of people. And therefore, design is always about a collaboration process. Design is not the production of genius people, but it's about bringing the right people together, people that know about the user, people that know about the needs of these users, and people that know about the technological layers, and so on, and bringing them all together and coming out with a product. It's a process. It's not, and again, something that you do out of in an hour each hour.
Excellent. Thanks, Giorgio. All right. I think the next one, Mike, is for you.
Yeah, and I think that is going to be the last one too, because we're about out of time. So LT is asking me what the status of Kimmel is. Probably a lot of people don't know, but years ago I started a Ubuntu derivative called Kimmel, which was designed specifically for kids. At the time, my own kids were 5 and 4 years old, so it was really geared towards giving them a desktop that they can use, they could play on, have some kind of educational games on there for them, and basically something that they really couldn't break, as opposed to using mine or my wife's laptops. So I made the first one, I think it was based on Ubuntu 8.04, and a second one based on 10.04. And earlier this year I said that I wanted to make another version that was going to be based on 14.04 that I'd hoped to get out before that, but obviously that did not happen. It turns out making your own distro is quite a bit of work and requires quite a bit of time, and that's something that I haven't had much of lately. So it's still something that I'm working on off and on, and I would still like to get out a third version of Kimmel. We plan to use Unity and still base it off 14.04, but the packages won't be in the archives for that, so they'll have to be in a PPA. That's still the plan. I still speak regularly, fairly regularly anyway, with the Edge Ubuntu guys, and there's a lot of overlap between Kimmel and Edge Ubuntu. So if you're waiting on something for specifically to use for kids, you can use that right now. They've done a fantastic job. And if anyone's got distro experience or package experience and wants to help me with Kimmel, I am definitely open for some help. So let me know if you do. Otherwise, just keep an eye out and I'll announce things as they go. All right, and with that, we are officially out of time. Came right up to the hour. Thank you, everyone on IRC, for all of your fantastic questions. We will be back again next week. I don't know if we're going to have a guest then or not, but you can always bring your questions on topic, off topic. It really doesn't matter. There'll be somebody here to answer them as best they can. Special thanks to Giorgio for joining us today and giving us this fantastic update on the design work that's been going on. We really appreciate having you on.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
And thank you, David, also for joining me again. He was supposed to have this week off, but with Alan and Daniel both out today, he was kind enough to join me and not leave me here on my own. So
by the way,
thank you.
A pleasure.
Here is a snapshot of the studio if you guys are curious.
Ah, nice.
Oh, nice.
It's just a sneak peek into design process here.
There's a lot of Ubuntu orange in that wall.
That was my thought as well. All right.
All right.
So I think with that, we can wrap it up.
Yep. You can follow us on ubuntuonair.com. We're also Ubuntu On Air on YouTube. You can go back and watch prior recordings, and follow us at Ubuntu On Air on Twitter as well. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next week.